Hello again, folks. This is Luke Johnson coming to you from undisclosed location in Midwest USA, and I'm happy to say that this episode is very special because we have a return guest, Mr. Michael Towensend Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, first of all, it's good to have you back.
Thank you. You mean you haven't had enough of me yet, Luke?
No,
But it's
not
great
even
to be
close.
back again.
Not even close.
Uh,
Well, I had you
yeah.
back because we didn't get to
Well,
discuss.
it's wonderful to be back with you.
Well, it's wonderful to have you back. I'm glad we did this because there are quite a few things that I wish we had discussed, but we didn't have a chance to. For one thing, I don't think we concentrated as much on the Opry as I would have liked.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yep, the opera.
Yes, but you know what's interesting, though?
I used to watch it on the Nashville network because I don't get WSM all the way up here. And they stopped showing it. Unfortunately, they showed about an hour or a half hour or something of the entire evening. But it was wonderful to see.
Well, it's interesting because it did not actually hit the network stations until 44. Before that, it was all local.
Yes. That local, was that WSM?
That's right, WSM, yes.
When did they expand?
44. 44 is when they got picked up by NBC. But it was actually only for one, because they had multiple sponsors over different acts, because it was kind of paced like a vaudeville show originally.
Yes. Weren't there competitors?
Yes.
Louisiana Hayride or something?
Yes, Louisiana Hayride, Midwest Hayride in Cincinnati, Ohio, National Barn Dance on radio station WLS in Chicago.
That was it.
Near my neck of the woods, there was the Ozark Jubilee in Springfield, Missouri.
So there were competitors.
Yes, there were. But yeah, the Opry got picked up by NBC in 44 for the Prince Albert Tobacco show sponsor. That was one of their sponsors.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I don't. George Goebel, the comedian.
Yes.
But he was, I think, National Barn Dance as a boy. He was a boy with his guitar, country singer, believe it or not, before he became a famous comedian, George Goebel. They called him Little Georgie Goebel in those days. And he was on the old Hollywood squares for many years.
Charlie Weaver, right? Was that Charlie Weaver?
With Charlie Weaver.
Yes.
I think Charlie was the bottom left square. And you remember he became ill and was gone for a long time.
Yes.
But then, well, you don't remember, young man. But they brought him back after he was ill. And he enjoyed that very much. He had a wheelchair, but it didn't matter. He was sitting in the square. I don't know if you've ever seen behind this. They climb up ladders.
Yes. I saw some behind. I saw some behind the scenes pictures where they climbed up the ladders. Yes.
Yes.
And
getting away from the Opry. Mm-hmm. I didn't mean to get away from the Opry, Luke.
No, it's all right. It's all right. But no, it's kind of interesting because he kind of aged into the character, much like a famous Opry comedian.
Yes.
Grandpa Jones.
Say that again.
Grandpa Jones, because he kind of, believe it or not, he actually started making records in his late 20s.
And he had that character.
Yes.
But he aged to it. He no longer had to put on the false mustache and
no
things.
Fake lines or anything. Yes.
Do you remember at Christmas time he used to tell an old mountain Christmas story?
Yes, the Christmas Guest. Yeah, the old poem. Yeah.
It's so touching, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That story. Should I relay it a little bit briefly?
If you don't mind, would you?
I will. Of course, it's apocryphal. It's not biblical, but it's very moving.
Yes, it is.
And it certainly gets across. This old, if I get this right, I'm paraphrasing. This old fella that lived up in the mountain in a cabin, all by himself. On Christmas Eve, he was all by himself. And I'm certainly going to paraphrase and make it my own a little bit. But suddenly he heard the voice of Jesus speaking to him. He said, "This is Jesus. I will be visiting you this evening. Will you really? Are you Jesus? Yes, I am. Will you really, Jesus? Yes. I will only tell you the truth. I will be there." Oh, that's wonderful. So he put his best clothes on, tried to set the best dinner plate he could in the dinner setting. He was so excited. Jesus is going to come tonight on Christmas Eve. But he waited and waited, and Jesus didn't come. But there was a knock on the door. There was this old woman with sticks on her back, selling sticks or something. She said, "Won't you buy?" He said, "The lady, I'm so sorry, but Jesus, I'm waiting for Jesus. I really don't have time." "Oh, I thought maybe you'd buy some of these." "Well, all right, stay right there, hold on." And he went and got the money and gave it to her. "Thank you, sir, bless you, bless you." And she left, and he waited and waited and waited. And then this poor old man came. He said, "I'm so sorry, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. Have you anything for me to eat?" "Well, you have to understand, sir, I'm waiting for Jesus. It's very important." "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. But wait, hold on, hold on. Here's some of the meal I've prepared. Please take this. Take this, sir." "Oh, thank you. Bless you, bless you. That's all right, sir. I'm happy to do it. But I'm waiting for Jesus." So he waited and waited and still no Jesus. And then this little boy, of all things, knocked on the door. "Sir, I can't find my daddy. I can't find my daddy in town. I can't find him. Won't you help me?" "Little boy, you don't understand. This is important. I'm waiting for Jesus. Don't you understand?" "Well, all right, I'll help you. Give me your hand." And they went to town, all the way to town, and they found the father. "Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Bless you, my little boy." "That's all right." And he ran back up the hill to his cabin. He thought, "Oh, I hope I didn't miss Jesus." So he was waiting and waiting and waiting. Still no Jesus. He was sitting at the table so sad. Suddenly he heard a voice. "This is Jesus. This is Jesus. Jesus, you promised me. You promised me you were going to come tonight on Christmas Eve." "Oh, but I did. I was that old woman." I get emotional telling this.
I know. I know.
"I was that old woman that you helped. I was that old man that you fed. And I was that little boy whose father you found. And you have done well, my son." I get emotional, Luke.
I know. I know. It's probably affecting me.
If that doesn't get the spirit, I don't know what does.
I don't know what will either.
A simple mountain story
Mm-hmm.
stood so well.
Very well indeed. But it's interesting to think, though, is that there were two comedians from the Opry who I really think kind of stuck out the most were him and Minnie Pearl.
Oh, yes. And both of them created characters.
Yes. However, there was one man who I don't know if he's quite as well remembered, a fellow by the name of Rod Brassfield.
I don't know if I know him.
Well, he was the younger brother of Uncle Sip Brassfield, of whom I know you're aware.
Oh, yes. But he didn't quite catch on.
No, Rod. The same could also be said of his younger brother, because he was only on the Opry for about 10 years.
Which is not a bad span.
But not a bad span at all. But he's not quite as well known as some of his contemporaries. And it's interesting because I think he probably could have been classified as one of the last true baggy pants comedians.
Really?
Yes, because he wore
which was a burlesque thing.
Yes, which was a burlesque thing indeed. And he wore a suit one size too big and a fedora with an upturned brim.
Oh, but the crowd loved that stuff, didn't they, in those days?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And he got started in a comedy troupe of all things, kind of like what Abbott and Costello did. A troupe called Bisbee's Comedians. They toured around the South and the Midwest.
You know something? It's interesting that there were equivalents even the black community had the Chitlin circuit, which was very similar. So each group of people seemed to have their own version of the same thing. Of course, burlesque was a little racy, you might say.
Yes.
Although tame by today's standards, probably.
Which is sad. Which I personally find very sad.
Yes, it is.
Although apparently
the mainstream is racier than burlesque.
Although apparently Abbott and Costello had to sterilize a lot of their material when they became. Although actually, well, no, I don't know if sterilize is quite the right word.
Not sanitize.
Sanitize. Maybe. That's it. Thank you. Sanitize. They sanitized a lot of the old burlesque routines.
Well, they had a man, I believe that John Wood, who didn't get much credit, but he sort of adapted to the mainstream many burlesque bits. I think I told you last time that it was Joey Faye's last sketch partner that he and the other burly comics resented Abbott and Costello because they had the silver screen and radio and television to do all those bits, the classic burlesque bits. And so whenever Joey and his compatriots did them, you stole that from Abbott and Costello, which they certainly didn't, but that's what happened. Even the famous Who's on First was actually a variation of something that had been done before. But that was unique to them, that particular version. And here's an interesting thing. I was acquainted with Lou Reege, who was Lou's first cousin on his mother's side. His mother was Irish, actually, of Irish heritage, and his father Italian. But I sat with him at a dinner when we honored Lou's 100th birthday, which was 2006, I guess. And we chatted, and he told me about, he was in the basement when they were discussing this new bit they were learning, Who's on First. So he was there on the ground floor of that famous thing. And they went on Kate Smith's program because Henny Youngman was her regular comedian on the radio, her radio show. And he had to go away for a while. And he recommended two of his friends, Bud and Lou. And I think they did that the opening night. And I think they had an argument with Ted Collins about doing that bit. Kate's manager, she said, they're not going to go for a thing like this. Our audience isn't going to go for a bit like that. And I said, oh, trust it. So I think they sneaked it in anyway. And it was a colossal hit that night. And so it proved Ted Collins wrong, if I have that story right. But it's something like that. And the rest is history, you say. They were an overnight success.
Which is odd because apparently Ted Collins, I read this in the biography that was done by Bud Thomas, which I've heard is not exactly
accurate.
Yes, exactly, yes. But apparently
yes.
Ted Collins thought that they wouldn't last because they were too visual.
That's true. That is all. I believe that is true as well. Too visual. But audiences had imaginations. I mean, if Edgar Bergen took ventriloquism over the airwaves, I guess anything is possible. And he was a big hit with Charlie McCarthy, Chasing Sanborn Hour or whatever it was.
And apparently I read that he actually got started on your old pal Rudy Valley's program the first. They was one of the first guest stars on Rudy Valley's program.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, Luke, because Rudy actually introduced many on that program, including Bob Hope and I believe Eddie Cantor and I think Burns and Allen, and also, as you mentioned,
Bergen and McCarthy, yes, Edgar
Bergen. Well, and all of them had radio shows afterwards. So he was very early on, I think 29, on the NBC network out of New York, Rudy. Which I think it wasn't WNBC, I think it was WEVD or something. the local station in New York. And here's a little sideline. Of course, as you know, I wander all over the place. But when I first joined the Uncle Floyd Show in 1987, shortly after that, I mean, very shortly after that, the local NBC, WNBC radio ended. It became WFAN or something, a sports station. However, they were doing tributes to the old shows. And the whole cast was subbing for Alan Combs, who had a show there. And the following day, I think the day before was Danny Aiello subbing. And the day after was Curtis Sliwa, first time on the radio. And he and his wife had a show for a long time, locally here in New York. I'm Jersey, but that's our broadcasting area. And so I was proud to be on that Rudy helped build WNBC. As I said, it was formerly WEVD. This is quite trivial or trivia, but it's interesting to me.
Oh, it is.
And maybe some of your listeners and viewers.
Well, it's very interesting to me since my first job was working at a radio station. I recorded commercials.
Wonderful.
I'm very big into broadcast history.
I think you would be an excellent full-time broadcaster, Luke.
I've considered it. But if I did do it, I would spin 45s.
Well, here's the dilemma. They say that radio is beginning to fade away, and it's not a high-paying job apparently now. I don't know, but many of them show up for a half hour and do intros and outros out of the tracks. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have actually. I think my father might have said something like that.
Which is discouraging.
Yes, very.
Because, Joe Franklin, who the national audience may know from various things. Danny Rose, he made an appearance. Ghostbusters. But he was a big staple in New York City for many, many years. He said he was the original talk show host. I don't know. But I want to say, my friends, I am, Billy Crystal used to do an impression of him on SNL when he was on. I want to say my next guest is one of my dearest friends in the world, Bill, one more time. He was quite a character without intending to be. So he used to say, how do you parody a parody? But he was an interesting man. And I'm suddenly forgetting why I brought him up for whatever we were just talking about.
Oh, broadcasting.
But, yes, broadcasting. He started in radio. Martin Block, the Make-Believe Ballroom here in the New York area. When he was a teenager, he said he was 21. He's in Billboard. Young 21-year-old Joe Franklin brings back nostalgia on Vaudeville is Not Dead. What a name for a show. What a title. But he was really a teenager, 17 or something, in 1943 during the war. But he never stopped going off the radio, even though he had a television show for many, many years. So he loved radio. At the very end, he was on the Bloomberg network, doing little spots with guests throughout the day, little 5-minute or whatever spots. So he never gave up radio. He loved it. Always out of New York. But I think that was national. I think Bloomberg was national. But he became ill the last broadcast he did and went to the hospital. So talk about working right to the actual end. He certainly did. But radio is in the blood for those who love it, I think. Luke, don't you?
Oh, yes, I love it. I'm crazy about it.
Well, you're doing a variation of it right now.
Yes, I guess. There is something to be said for that. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. It's amazing to think just how many acts
They
were
do.
said they said would not work, but actually end up becoming, big hits.
Yes, how many didn't work and became big hits?
Yes, it's amazing how many
Um,
there were said that who said that they would not work. I mean, Abbott and Costello, such, yeah, yeah. And
maybe
Edgar Berg
me, I think. No, I'm. Yeah,
and Edgar Bergen, for example. I
Bergen.
mean, a lot of people said that a ventriloquist nowadays would probably say, "Oh, ventriloquist on the radio." Yeah, sure.
Exactly. I'm trying to think. Of course, I've known many people that I thought deserved to be better known than they were or are, but I'm trying to think of, well-known people.
Mm-hmm.
I think they told Tony Randall, "You'll never make it. You're not good," or something. He was from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I think he took the name Anthony Randall and started with Cornell on Broadway, I think, and it did work. And of course, he became very well known. And he did some radio, but he always not was embarrassed by it, but he thought it was like those radio shows. He played Reggie, I think, in I Love a Mystery or something. And friends of mine, I used to attend the Friends of Old Time Radio, I believe at the Holiday Inn in Newark Airport here in New Jersey. Every year they had a convention with old time radio people, and the public would come and buy tickets. And I was invited to perform there a number of times by friends. And Tony Randall was often asked to go, and he said, "No, I'm embarrassed by my radio career." He didn't think it was performing, reading a script into a microphone, but of course it was. That was an art form unto itself, in my opinion.
Oh, mine too.
He
Mine
shouldn't have
too.
been embarrassed. Oh, but I'm trying to think of anyone else. I know Alec Guinness in England. They said, "You have no ability. You'll never make it as an actor." And of course, he became a great actor. So that's happened frequently, Luke. I
Mm-hmm.
guess the point is, don't believe them, and maybe it gives you even more motivation to show them. You know,
Yes, yes. Well,
maybe it does.
it's it. Well, one thing that came to my mind is going back to the Opry. Bob Wills, the famous Western swing player, was told to not bring a drum set when
Yes,
he was told to not bring a drum kit when he made his first appearance in '45 on the Opry. It was a guest appearance for the Prince Albert Tobacco Show, but he had a rule that either they all went on or none of them went on.
that was nice. They stood up for each other.
Yes, yes, it was.
Well, and getting back to Opry comedy,
Hmm.
it's interesting. Remember, they did a little early, very simple television show that wasn't at the Opry, it was in a television studio with some of the Opry stars. And it's interesting that June Carter of the famous family, her mother was Miss Maybelle, I think, wasn't she?
Yes, yes.
And she was like the comedy relief when she was young, June,
Hmm.
before she became the wonderful songwriter and performer and married Johnny Cash, of
Hmm.
course. But she was a comedian on the show. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Seeing
Yes, I
those
do.
clips?
Yes, I've seen a lot of
Quite
those
funny.
clips. Very, yes, very, very funny,
But
very
that was
funny.
her role at the time.
Uh huh.
Well, some of the Opry stars that you admire most, Luke,
Well, Hank Williams, for one thing,
or
he
back
was
then?
Hank Williams, Little Jimmy Dickens,
Oh, yes, Little Jimmy.
Porter Wagner, and
Yes.
try doggone it, I'm trying Porter Wagner, and Johnny Cash.
Yes, Johnny, who I think we mentioned
Hmm.
was hard to pin down into a genre.
Yes, it was.
Isn't that true?
Yes, yes, it was very. He was when he first got started. I really kind of put him in kind of the rockabilly genre when he was first at Sun Records.
Exactly. He was a companion of those greats that came from there.
Mm-hmm. Jerry Lee
Have you ever
Lewis.
seen him play bass?
Million Dollar Quartet. I've seen pieces of it. Yes.
It's very good. I saw it here in New Jersey, I believe, at the Paper Mill Playhouse. It was a touring production, and they were very good, very lively. It was very nice. Of course, all make believe.
Yes.
But did that evening ever really happen?
Yes. There were. Yeah, there was actually an impromptu session they did. Yes, and it's apparently it's still around. You can still find some of the recordings.
Wow,
I've been to Memphis,
that's
and I sat behind that piano where the picture of them, where the four of them was taken. Where I sat behind that same piano where Jerry Lee Lewis sat.
wow. Now, Luke, have you ever been to the Opry?
Yes, I was at the. Yes, I have. When I was 12, I was there and with my family, and we saw little Jimmy Dickens. He was the MC for one of the shows.
Do you know he always did the same jokes
Yes.
every? Remember I'm Jimmy Dickens or Willie Nelson taxes. That was, you see, when it was televised, you heard it every time.
Yes.
But when you have an audience, you do it for a new audience. So when television first started, people used up their acts in one night. They didn't know what to do. It's true. That's when they had to bring in writers. They used to say Bob Hope couldn't visit the restroom without a cue card, but I don't think that's true. At the end of his driveway, it said, Bob, turn left. But these jokes aren't true. But
well, if not, they should be. But yeah, no, Dan, yes, I also been to the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was something in and of itself.
Oh, wow.
Well, the one thing that's always
bothered me must have been great.
The one thing that's always bothered me about the entire organization is that most performers died before they were inducted.
Yes, well, let's face it, some of them, lived to old age, many of them.
Mm-hmm.
But let's face it, like performers, they
yes,
partied a little.
Yeah, let's put it that way. Yes.
Just as we hear as rock and roll legends died 58 natural causes. 58. It's because they were 58, but their body was 102 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
But I'm sure they had fun a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yes. I'm sure. But at least my thing is that at least Jerry Lee Lewis got to go out knowing he'd made it.
Yes. Well, now you haven't been to the Ryman Auditorium, I guess, Luke. Huh?
No, I've not. I have not been there yet, but I'd hope to go. If I ever go back to Nashville, I'd love to see that.
I'd love to stand in that circle.
No, would I?
Wouldn't you?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
for the original stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing to
so
think that the building was originally.
I guess they've even altered the.
The author of the what?
Oh no, was that at the Ryman? Oh no, that's at the actual.
The Ryman.
Isn't that
yeah, they were all the.
That's at the Opry, isn't it?
Yeah, the Opry House has the circle from the original stage.
Right, I'm getting it mixed up.
Yes, yeah.
But is that the original Ryman stage that's still there?
Yeah,
but there must be a circle.
Yes. Well, no, I think the stage.
Well, they have to be careful.
I think the stage has been replaced many times. I mean, it'd have to be with all the feet on it.
You're right, and I was going to say if they cut the circle out of this one, they'd better be careful where they walk. But I'm making jokes here. But the trap door.
Mm-hmm.
But I love all that history, actually.
So do I.
And you know something? It's almost the equivalent of the Palace Theater to vaudevillians in the old days.
Yes.
Playing the Opry and being a member. Remember, they always surprise them somehow when they're being inducted into the membership of the Opry. They always surprise them right after a performance or something. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Which must be the thrill of a lifetime for that performance.
It must be, but it's interesting. yes, it must be amazing to be able to go where many have gone before.
I've spoken to some performers. Have you performed at the Opry? No, they've never asked me. So you are invited even to perform there.
Mm-hmm. Apparently,
Do you remember that?
Remember the
Oh,
what?
go ahead, Luke.
Do
Do you remember that cowboy group that used to perform there all the time that were in Toy Story?
Riders in the Sky?
Yes, I like them.
Oh, they're definitely. I think they're like vaudeville cowboys in a way, with all the acts they do and such. They're a bunch of cut-ups, to be sure.
A little wink of the eye.
Yes.
But good musicians and good singers.
Yes. Oh, yes, yes.
They sing cowboy in a way. There used to be an intersection between cowboy and country, right, Luke?
Yes, yes, there was. I mean, but well, Gene Autry and Roy Rogers helped kind of get that genre of music into the mainstream eye.
Yes, because it was strictly hillbilly before that, wasn't it? Considered?
Yes, yes. Although Gene
I mean,
Autry,
well liked, but
yes,
still.
it was well liked. Although Gene Autry originally got started as a Jimmy Rogers protege. Have you
Yes.
If you listen to some of those early records, I think he sounds like Jimmy Rogers.
You know, it's funny how, in a similar vein, Dean Martin sounded a lot, and Perry Como sounded a lot like Bing in the early days, in their early recordings, because I guess we imitate our heroes until we develop our own style. And so there is an influence. Is that story true about Will Rogers? He was the telegrapher in the railroad thing or something?
Well, that's what Gene Autry always said. He said that's how it happened.
Yes. You know, I think you're too young to have seen that Nashville Channel program with Gene and Pat Buttram as sidekick, hosting his films in the late 80s. You're too young.
I've seen pieces of it, no, but I have seen.
I don't see any recordings. I don't even see reading. But Gene was way up in age. He was sitting there with he would wear his different cowboy outfits. He would tell stories in between. Pat replaced Smiley Burnett in the films. Yes. And Pat Buttram, some of your audience may recall from Green Acres on reruns on MeTV. Mr. Haney. He had almost an Andy Devine kind of well, Mr. Douglas, I'm going to sell this to you, which you absolutely need for your home. Remember, whatever it was. But that's where the more modern audience, that was years ago, from reruns would know Pat from there more than working with Gene, I think.
You know, he actually got injured while working with Gene Autry.
Yes.
Well, on Green Acres, did you ever notice how this eye was a little off to the right?
Yes. Is it an artificial eye?
No. Well, what happened was that he was doing. This is the story that Tom Lester, the actor who played Eb Dawson, told on the radio. They were doing a scene on Gene Autry's television show where Pat fired an antique cannon, but apparently they overfilled it with powder, and the whole thing exploded, and some of the powder got in his eye. They overfilled the cannon.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they overfilled
That's
with
awful.
powder.
So that was his real eye, though?
That was his real eye. And apparently, it made national headlines.
A similar thing happened to
Harold Lloyd, with the bomb. Yeah, he ended up losing. Although with him it was much worse.
That's a shame about.
Although with him it was much worse. He ended up losing 2 fingers.
You know, I've told people that, and they said, I don't notice that. But I could tell when it brought his hand up.
Yeah, I could see that.
People said, I don't think so, but I and they used to do something. He used to attend. They don't do any of these things anymore on television. But they used to have an annual with all the old Western television and movies, not the big stars, but some of them. I think a silver heel thing or something, and they would have awards. And I think he may have hosted Pat. I'm not sure, but they would have uh, Chuck Connors and Johnny Crawford and all different people from television, and some of the old film, maybe Iron Eyes Cody, who was not even
Native
Native
American.
American, oddly enough, who was like Hollywood's favorite Native American. But that's Hollywood for you, Luke. That's
Hmm.
show business. But I enjoy that seeing them. But of course, most of them are gone. I go to we have an autograph show here in New Jersey, Chiller, twice a year, Chiller Expo, and I go there. My friend Zachary used to be sort of the mascot, but he's passed away. And it occurred to me, these are nice people to see, but it's not really. Although Ronnie Shell's going to be at this one from Gomer Pyle, but I thought, gee, they're not. It doesn't mean all that much to me. And it occurred to me, my heroes have passed away. I've outlived my heroes, Luke.
A lot of mine have too. A lot of mine have too.
So that's what's happened.
I know. Yes, yes, it's it. But it seems as if is that because
It occurred to me.
yeah, I know it's definitely it's same things definitely happened to me. Although kind of getting on the Western thing,
But maybe the very young people.
yes.
Oh yeah,
What were you saying about the
I
young
was just
people?
going to say, maybe the very young people. Maybe they're the old timers to them.
Yeah, maybe. But about the Western thing, one thing I forgot to bring up is that a
Yes.
man I deeply admire, Roger Miller, was discovered more or less by one of the stars of Rawhide, Sheb Woolley.
Oh yeah, Sheb Woolley,
They
who
came,
was the Purple People Eater,
yeah, yes, yeah, they
and he
also, yeah,
played a character, didn't he, Sheb
yes, he
Woolley?
did, yeah, yes, he did. He was Ben Colder, but yeah, they came from the same town in Oklahoma, and Sheb's first wife was Roger's adoptive sister.
Wow,
Yeah,
what a small.
yeah. So who knows? Maybe without him, Roger may have never made it.
Well, I have to tell you what a small show business world it really is,
Yes,
because Sheb Woolley was on the Uncle Floyd show one night.
really?
I'll tell you why. Because at the bottom line in New York, Dr. Demento, who just recently ended his long radio run, um, hosted a show at the bottom line with Benny Bell, the old fella, shaving cream, be nice and clean, whatever it was, pseudo
Yeah,
racy, wasn't really racy. He was there, and he would only let Floyd play the piano for him. But Floyd was there as a performer because he used to be on Dr. Demento's show, his records, and Tiny Tim, my old friend Tiny Tim, and Boris Pickett. I mean Bobby Boris Pickett from the Monster Mash, and Sheb Woolley, and they all came on the show to promote that live show at the Bottom Line in New York, which no longer exists.